Hey everybody, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how you can use the prop puppet tool to quickly create some really cool previs camera angles and camera movement. So what you see on the screen right here is this deadly looking sniper dude walking through this house, and we're going to be recreating this sort of camera movement simply by using our prop puppet tool to move the camera around. Now you might be saying, Kai, hey, you can't prop puppet the cameras. Well, that's why we're going to be using props and attaching the cameras to the props. A little trick I'll show you. So let's actually just go to our preview camera here. This is the preview camera. You can move it around willy-nilly. You don't need to worry about it recording any of your movements. And let's go delete the original camera that we had there. So I'll just select that camera. You can see it move right there along with our character. If I zoom out a little bit, you can see it move along with our character, and that's the camera movement and angle that we're getting right there. But we don't need to worry about that camera right now. We can simply delete it. And let's start with a prop in our scene, because we cannot puppet the cameras, but we can puppet props and connect cameras to the props. All right, so too many P's there. All right, let's go to our content tab then, into our props folder, into 3D blocks, and you can use any prop you want, any primitive you want. I'm going to use a ball here, for example. All right, so let's drag our ball into the scene. Pretty big ball. We can just move it to wherever we want on the scene. Press the R hotkey to scale it down, maybe to something a bit more reasonable like that, and W hotkey to move it around. And I think we're about good. That's the angle we want to start from right there. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to go to about here and somewhere where the sphere is, and just simply go up to create and create a camera. All right, and then we'll change to a camera. Our selected camera will be camera. We can rename that. Let's just call it, let's call it camera for now. Don't really worry about the names for now. And let's change to preview camera. And then we can zoom out, and boom, there's our camera. Now what we want to do is we want to align that camera with the sphere. All right, so we can just move that camera to the sphere. Or what we can do is we can also leave that camera back in its original position, and we can have the sphere selected and use this align to option right here, which I like to use. You can also use Control L, and then select your camera. X, Y, and Z axis, and we'll go directly to where the camera is. Alright, so we've got our basic stuff set up here. What I also want to do here is set my sphere as a dummy. And you can see when I do that, it disappears. We can press Control D to toggle the dummy on and off. And now the selection box will be red, indicating it's a dummy. So let's keep the dummy on right now. And let's select our camera and simply link it to our sphere. So to do that, we just need to go down here to link, pick parent, and select the sphere, ball 001. All right, and we're good to go. Then what we need to do is get our camera angle correct. So let's press the F8 hotkey, and this is going to bring up our mini viewport. Currently it's set to preview. Let's change this to camera. So this is what our camera is currently seeing. It's a little bit off center. So what we can do is we can take this sphere and we can move it a little bit to the left, move it a little bit to the right, and you can see there's our preview right there. Let's move it somewhere to the center like this. And we also want to make sure that we select our camera and have it focus on our character. So look at the character. So with the camera selected, let's zoom out a little bit, and let's select, look at, pick target, and pick our character. And now it'll select, spine 2. That's fine with us. If we want to focus on a specific area on our character, we can select that by going into here, into the hierarchy. We can focus on his eyes, his root, or anything like that. We're just going to choose the spine for now, and that's going to be fine and dandy. And we can move the sphere up and down to get a different camera angle like this. All right. So now if we move to the side, for example, when our character moves, our camera is just going to simply be following him. All right. And don't worry about where the sphere is. The sphere is not going to show up. If we press Control D, it's going to take that dummy off. But let's just go ahead and try puppeting the sphere. All right, so let's select the sphere and let's move it over here. And we're going to try to recreate that sort of same camera effect that we had at the beginning. So let's just close this. We don't need to close the mini viewport down, actually. Let's zoom out. With our preview camera selected, obviously, let's zoom out. And maybe to an angle like this, where we can easily puppet that sphere around our character this way, because this is the path that we're going to have. He's going to go around this way. So we're going to kind of pan around from side to side here and kind of dolly in as we come back. So, very useful previs technique that we can just simply puppet with our prop puppet tool here. All right, so let's select that sphere, go up to animation and prop puppet. Now I'm going to choose a simple prop puppet movement first. Let's go to horizontal movement right here. Move in horizontal movement. So now if I press space, what's going to happen is I can move my camera around like this and I can follow. Let's actually, I saw the dummy at the end there. Let's press Control D to make that dummy invisible there. And let's try that again. So press space. There you go. We can move around our character. We can follow him close like this, or we can zoom out back like that. So that's really cool. I mean, we can just kind of go along a horizontal plane, horizontal only. It's keeping completely level, and it's following the character like that. So let's just go ahead and why not just record that? Let's press record and then press space. Now it may seem a little bit jittery when you do it with your mouse. It's not because I have crazy shaky hands. It's because the constraint is on that the camera is looking at the character. But that smooths out after you record, and I'll show you in a moment here. So let's just press space and record this. Like that, you can see it shaking, and we'll go around the character like this, and then we'll just kind of pan back like that. He's going off into the distance. Alright, so that's going to be our camera movement right there. So let's go ahead and test that out. Let's go to change our preview to our camera. Alright, we can close down our mini viewport right now to give it a test here, and press space. So you can see now, we have this kind of cool camera movement that we just created basically in 2 seconds with Prop Puppet. So that's really cool. You know, we can just do that in 2 seconds with prop movement. Again, a little shaky, but you can also modify that as well. If I wanted to, I can change that. So let's go and press F3, go into our timeline here. And what I want to do is make sure my ball is selected, ball 001. Let's actually change the name of this. Let's change it to dummy 01, okay, just to keep the names clear. And then let's choose object related track, and our dummy 01 will show up right there. We can close down all this other stuff, we don't need that. And now if I go into here and select the animation track, you can see this is the animation clip that we created. So again, if I press space, we need to make sure that we close down the prop puppet tool first. Let's close that down. Now if I press space, we will be able to see the movement right there. So if we want to modify this, we can change anything like a normal clip. We can change it to ease in or ease out. We can right click, choose time warp, and we can choose something like ease out, or we can just choose custom. And this is going to have a little bit of a slightly different movement. So we can choose something like ease out, for example. And you can see that at this point, the camera angle now changes. If we wanted a more extreme example, that means there'll be lots of camera movement at the very beginning and very little at the end. So we can change the type of camera effect that we have. So something like that, a bit more dynamic. You can see it just really goes like vroom, like that. And then there's very little camera movement near the end as it tapers off. Or we can change that to ease in and have a very similar, very different effect. So it'll have very little camera movement at the beginning. We'll go almost right through the character. And then at the end, we'll have a zoom. And now we're kind of moving back at the very end there. That one doesn't seem as good, so let's just try something like maybe an ease out and make it a little bit less extreme. I think something like that might be cool. And then we can press play and play that back, and there you go. I think at the very beginning here, we have a moment where I kind of zoom in before I zoom out. Let's go ahead and right click on our clip and break that. And take out that part at the beginning that we seem to have a little bit of a jitter there. And we'll just delete that. And then we can go move this clip to the beginning. And now there's no longer a zoom in and out. So we have a very straight kind of camera zoom like that. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that's takes 2 seconds to do that. If you're a Previz artist, it's a very excellent tool to use. Now, if we want to just mess around for a little bit after that, we can go ahead and with our preview camera selected again, let's choose another camera angle that we think might be cool. Let's try something from, directly above the character, for example. All right, so let's get to the preview angle first that we want. Maybe something like this. All right, and let's go to create camera, and then we select our preview camera, and we can just zoom out. There's our additional camera, and let's just for fun, let's just try and connecting this one, linking this one to the previous dummy, so we can just get a totally unknown type of camera angle, and it may inspire creativity or you to try a different camera angle. Let's go ahead, select this camera, and I want to go and link it. Pick parent, and we'll pick that dummy from the scene view right there, or the scene manager, and then I also want to make it look at my character. So look at the character's spine. And let's give that a shot. Let's go to just camera 0. And now, since this camera 0 is attached to that same dummy prop, let's see what kind of effect we get. We're getting something like that, where it's kind of going back over like that. And, it could be useful for certain situations. Or we can go ahead and change the initial position of our camera. So if we have our camera selected, let's go to Preview Camera first. Or actually, we can just go to camera 0. And we can start off like something like even higher or even a little bit further up. So we can try an angle like this maybe. Let's get below those rafters there. So something like this. And then let's press play. And then we get a view like this. All right? So this camera is still connected to that same dummy, but we have a different sort of view. We can maybe even go a little bit further ahead like this, because we are, in fact, linked to that dummy. You can see it moving right there. Again, maybe not going through the rafters. That's not ideal, but we can get something cool like that. Now, another thing you can do is you can, mess around with the prop puppet tool with different camera angles using vertical movement and other more advanced movements as well. So let's try that. Let's go ahead and add another prop into our scene. So we'll go to our content manager, create a ball. Let's do something behind the character like this. R hotkey to scale it down a little bit, and let's move that up a little bit there. And we'll call this one Dummy 2. All right. So I'll double click, call it Dummy 02, just to keep things organized. And then what I want to do is try to get my preview camera to be, similar, relatively close to that dummy. Something like this. And then again, create camera and go to preview camera and zoom out. And there's our camera with 1 in parentheses there. We can then move that to the same position as our dummy there. And we can select this dummy again, press Control D. Or whoops, we need to add it as a dummy first, set as a dummy. Control D to turn it off or on. All right, and then we can move this one aside from the other ones as well. So let's select the camera first. We want to make sure that we obviously look at the thing that we're supposed to be looking at, which is the character right there. All right, so you're looking at his right arm. If we select the right arm accidentally, we can go into here and go to select his spine. Spine 02 seems to be the thing we're looking at here. And we want to link it, of course, to our dummy object 2. All right, so let's go ahead now and select our dummy, press F8 to get our mini viewport again, and click here and select camera 1. So this is our camera 1 view right now. So if I move it up like this, we can have it, way up in the rafters about here, something like that. And in addition, we can select our camera if we want. Let's make sure I can't select it from there. All right, let's go down here to the scene manager. If you can't select your camera, you can always select it from the scene manager. And then change our focal length to something like 35. Let's press F8 first. And there you go. You can see the difference right there in the mini viewport. You get a very close look. Let's change it to something far away like 35. I think that's fine. We can also activate depth of field at this point as well, but I don't recommend doing that at this point. But let's go ahead anyways and select our dummy. We're not selecting the dummy for some reason. Let's go down here, close the mini viewport. Where's our props? Here we go. Close down those trees there. Dummy 02, and press F8 again to load up our mini viewport, and then into prop puppet. But this time let's choose vertical movement. So it's already at vertical movement by default here. And so if I press space, you can kind of follow our character like this, slowly moving down. And we can zoom out like that if we want. All right, so that's another cool camera effect we could get if we wanted to, press space and just kind of follow the character from a higher viewpoint to a lower viewpoint. We can do that. And again, it looks jittery in the mini viewport, but that will smooth out once it records into a clip. Let's try some more advanced movement over here, like just for fun. Go to advanced over here. We can try something like, now rotation, anything with rotation isn't going to work because we have our camera constrained to look at the character. So the camera is not going to rotate. It's just going to be, we can just move the prop, okay? So make sure that we go to something like, let's try this one right here. So this is kind of some weird movement. You can see if we press space, we get something like this, and we move it around like that. You get all kinds of weird camera movement again. So there's the rotation and the movement. Let's try something like this one up here, for example. And again, you can mess around with all these values on your own time, just for creativity. You know, that's what Previz is all about, just messing around with different camera angles and kind of getting the sort of thing that you want right here. So here's one that just goes only on the X and the Z axis, okay? So you can notice that right now it's only going along the X and the Z axis. So if I press W with my prop puppet window closed here, if I press W, we're only going along the red X axis and the blue Z axis. So we're only able to go along this axis and this axis, okay? So that's why it's only going up and down, left and right. But from an angle like this, like a right angle, that's perfect for recreating what we wanted to do before. So we can go to Prop Puppet again, choose that advanced one right here. I believe it was this one right here. Yeah, okay. And then press space. And we can go down like this, and then we can pan out, or it's inverted, so we can go forward like that. All right, so if we go down and left, then we can get something like that. So let's try and record that camera movement right there. So let's press record, and let's slowly pan down like this, and then left, let's follow our character like that. There we go. Okay, so then we recorded that, I believe. And if we play back, there is that camera movement right there. We've gone to the ground. And don't worry, I think that's the what's going in front of it there. I think it's the sphere. We need to press Control D to get rid of that sphere. Let's play back one more time. There you go. We no longer have that sphere interfering with our movement right there. And now again, my mouse isn't the steadiest thing in the world, but you get the kind of picture there. So let's close all this down. Let's make our cameras invisible as well, so they don't kind of get in the way of our scene. And let's just make them all invisible. So here we've just created 3 simple camera angles, just experimenting, messing around. Press play. This is camera angle number 1. So we have that. Our character marching off into the distance right there. And then we can go to camera angle with the 0 in parentheses, and now we have a totally different, well, we'd probably want to make it a little bit lower. Let's go ahead and do that actually. So go to camera 0, let's make it a little bit lower. There we go. Something like that. And let's play back now. There you go. So this is a totally different camera angle, totally different feel to the scene. And again, we're just following along with that one dummy. So there's only actually 2 dummies in the scene, but we have 3 cameras. Let's go to camera angle 1, or camera 1 there as well. And here's our third and final one, kind of going down on the character like that and following him along right here. And again, if we wanted to, let's press F3, go into our timeline for the third camera, or sorry, for our prop, dummy prop 02. Let's try and find that in our props here. There's too many darn props in this scene. There we go, dummy 02. And then we can minimize the props here. And there we go, dummy 02. And into our animation tab right there. And then if we wanted, here's our motion right there. We can again right click this, use time warp. We can go ahead and ease out of it, or ease in maybe. Let's try ease in and see what kind of result we get there. So now we have not very much movement at the beginning, and then we'll have more movement later on right there. Okay, so we're kind of following the character, and he's zooming in at the very end there. Or if we wanted to ease out, time warp, ease out, we'll have all the movement at the very beginning, and then we'll be following closer to the character as we move along. Maybe that's a little bit too close. There we go. So obviously we wouldn't want to do ease in. Or ease out. We'd probably want to stick with ease in. All right. So press space. There we go. Barely any movement at the beginning, and then as we ramp up, we start to follow the character like this off into the distance. All right, so that's really, you can mess around with the clips just like any clip. You can break it, you can make it faster or shorter. Again, if I press F3, I can, extend the clip. We don't want to loop that. We want to go here to speed. We can, decrease the speed as well of that entire movement. So right here, we'd have very little movement, and then right there, it wouldn't start moving until pretty much the entire thing's done. So we can go like this, for example. It's still longer than it should be. And so we won't start moving until about this point right here. Now we start moving to follow our character right there. Or we can just, make it a lot shorter, and all of our movement will be at the very beginning. Okay, and then it'll just stay there right there because the prop is no longer moving. All right, so you can mess around with all the clips, break them up, change the speed, ease in, ease out, all the other stuff, and use your prop puppet tool to move around your cameras to get sort of just kind of brainstorm different camera angles, different camera movements. That's what I like to use it for personally, and you can refine it later on with various other techniques. But that's about it for this tutorial, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure you check out our forums to exchange ideas with other developers about how to do cinematography and previs and all that stuff. That's about it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.